All right, let's talk about Portraits in Rhythm Etude number 18 by Anthony J. Cirone. All right, first off, it's always good to read the blurb on the top of these solos here. Basically, the first point we want to look out for here is those opening rolls. By the way, this tempo, scherzo 160, it's going to be pretty quick, so we're going to want to dial that up. But yes, these rolls that we're going to see throughout the first two lines, the opening theme, they should sound like small explosions, right? And then we get really light afterwards. So just real quick explosion, then getting nice and soft. Really all about the dynamics. You probably also have noticed that we have some staccato markings on the eighth notes here. So a little tricky to make notes shorter on a snare drum. We basically get what we get when we hit that thing. So to do that, what I've seen a lot of other players do with the solo is play those eighth notes with one hand, most often with the right-handed, or you can do your left. But I think that does really give you a nice light, crisp touch on those eighth notes. If you do it with both hands, sure, you can get it there, but I think there's just something special about doing it with one hand. So we'll look for that when I go through the full playthrough. Yeah, so really dynamics. Watch that crescendo beginning of line 2. Then we get into some different rhythm figures. Pretty straight ahead stuff. Again, end of line 3, we have some very contrasting dynamics. Fortissimo down to piano, back to fortissimo, back to piano, then to forte. So we really want to make sure we're doing a clear difference between those. Also, how about our fortissimo and forte? Because we're going to be back to forte, second bar of line 4. So again, we just want a nice broad contrast. I like to keep my soft, very soft, loud, very loud, so there's a nice range to work within, and we can really clearly distinguish the different dynamic markings. We're going to reprise our opening theme again, this time without rolls. We're just going to be doing some andas, some singles there. Again, same idea. We want those to sound explosive, followed by light, crisp notes. We do mix in some rolls as we get into line 5. And then we have a little tricky thing happening getting into line 6. I have a little trick that helps me. It's a little brain trick. So if you try to read it as it is, going over the bar line, it's all kinds of craziness. So what I do is I actually kind of take, so where we have that dotted quarter rest at the end of line 5, I almost think of that as a bar of 3/8. So instead of counting 1 and 2 and then jumping into the rhythm, I do a quick 1, 2, 3, same rate as our eighth notes, and then I start counting that 16th note, those 4 16th notes that go over the bar line. I start counting there. So I count that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and then we come to the end of the phrase. And I'm going to do a similar thing to get out of that. That last roll, I'm going to do like a 1, 2, 3 count and leaving some space on that beat 3. Believe where it was in time, I might count that actually as 3 and a 4 and 3, and then coming back to it. So kind of tricking ourselves to interject some 3/8 bars, I think will really, really help, all right? Versus trying to read over it, because it could get really confusing. We have there's a tie thing that we see. Let's see, we're on line 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that fourth bar, there is that tie note going into the fifth one. I play that just like a quarter note. All right, so again, that could trick us when we see this over the bar line thing. So think about that in that 3/8 approach. So once again, going into it, that quarter rest, that dotted quarter rest, I do a 1, 2, 3, then I start counting in 4, 4 from there, or 2, 4, whatever works for you. But trick your brain. That's going to be the easier way to go about it. All right, then we get to some much easier reading. Pretty straightforward here. Watch the accents. Accents are key going forward, then back to piano, so watching our dynamics, pianissimo. And then we have the untied roll section. Really, I've seen this a lot of different ways, so this is kind of open for interpretation. I like to just kind of let those rolls kind of end without a clear ending. Although some people have heard play it, giving it more of a clear ending, like brrrr. I kind of like brrrr, brrrr, the brrrr, 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 versus brrrr, or brrrr, brrrr, you know, without that hard ending. So leaving a little space is really the key there, you know. So interpret that as you will. There isn't a one right answer for this piece with most of these etudes here. They're open for a bit of interpretation. So I think the key is really just leaving that space and starting the rolls right where they belong. And then we have that really long roll. Trick there is maintaining a nice even hands. And then we got a pianissimo roll. So again, get close to that edge, nice evenness between the hands. Then another group of untied rolls at pianissimo. So again, just leave some space. 1, 2, and 3. 1. I'm sorry, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1. 2-4 counting. We're in here. And then we reprise the opening theme until we get to an end. What I found tricky about that very ending is there can be a tendency to want to play those last 2 eighth notes at piano, because that's what we've done throughout the piece. But remember, they are at forte until we get to the very end when we have our nice fortissimo. All right, so there you have it. There's a good overview. And now feel free to go check out the full-on performance and hear everything in action.